Voltaire once said, "To enjoy life, we must touch much of it lightly." This is the Producer's Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Richard Tucci, and on this week's episode, we have producer Claude Dal Farra. Claude Dal Farra is one of the principals of BCDF Pictures, a Hudson Valley-based company that has produced a number of feature films in 2010 and 2011, including Higher Ground, Peace, Love, and Misunderstanding, The Last Keepers, Rhymes with Banana, Predisposed, Liberal Arts, and Bachelorette. The company's website is bcdfpictures.com. Here now is my lunch with Claude Dal Farra.
So last time you were here, you were with Bob at this table with Bob, Bernie. That's amazing. Oh, there's Sonny. Next, what you want? So, you're recording already?
Yes, yeah. So, but it's very casual. I don't care. So, you and Bryce are originally from France?
Yes.
From Bern?
Yeah.
Is it Cannes or Cannes? Because that's one of the great debates in the entertainment industry.
Well, in French, it's Cannes.
It is Cannes. All right. So, and you have a very unique campus because you originally got a doctorate in biotech.
Yes, I started in biochemistry. My brother started in finance, and his wife, who's our partner in the company, she's a medical doctor.
Oh, okay.
She's a cardiologist.
Gotcha. And did you study in France, or did you come over to?
No, I studied in France. I was working for a French biotech company. Then I moved to the US a little over 6 years ago, working for an American chemical company.
Okay.
In a big research institution. And then I dropped all that and just focused on making movies.
Now, originally, as I saw that you and your brother had originally started an online video company for mental wellness video.
So that is his wife foundation. She has a foundation, a non-for-profit organization that is supporting people with various type of stresses, like depression, suicidal, or like severe stress. And so we started by developing programs for my foundation, and that's how it started.
That's always been a space that's very interesting for me, personally, because I also started, after I got out of film school, I wanted to do a non-profit online video space called ShakeShock.com, which is basically going to be viral videos, also about educational topics like Shakespeare and what have you. I was wondering, the success in that space for the programs that you develop, I understand it was for your brother's wife, but why didn't that pan out? What were the difficulties you found in trying to get that program up?
There are not really difficulties in this type of programs. It's medical programs. So if you have the right background, you're fine. So if you have the right academic background, these are good programs. These are fairly easy programs to develop. The difficulty in the non-for-profit world is always the funding. Foundations are always struggling to get the right level of funding, with the right level of overhead to be able to get what they have to get done. And that's really what the challenge is in this type of development. Very different from the movie business, where also you need a lot of fundings, but there is a commercial mean, so it's easier to attract investors to it.
Mm-hmm. And on that, around 6 years ago, from what I'm inferring, you decided, let's walk away from biochem and get into the movie industry.
No, 6 years ago, I moved to the US.
Oh, 6 years, I'm sorry, yeah.
And I was working in American Chemical Corporation.
So when did you decide, moving away from chemicals, I want to be a film producer?
So 4 years ago, we started our production company with my brother and his wife, BCDF Pictures. And at the time, I was also working in chemistry, so I was doing both. And a year and a half ago, I quit the chemical business, and I only focus now on making notes.
I see. how did that change come about? Did you originally say I wanted to get into movies, or was it price, or was it just looking at the market and say, I want to do it?
It's just the three of us who, little by little, came to the realization that we love movies, we have the white space, the white equipment, we have everything we need to make movies, let's try it. And our family is from artistic background, so we were very interested in the arts already and in the storytelling process. My mom is a dancer, so storytelling is very important in dance. So we grew up in that storytelling environment.
Very interesting. Fashion. You see, well, it's cool. I mean, when you started that process, how did you pick what your first story was?
We started wanting to do stories who would travel internationally, but they could be filmed in New York, in the state of New York. So we are in the Hudson Valley, that's where our company is. And so we contacted local writers to develop stories that had something to do with the Hudson Valley. And that's how we started. And very quickly, Viva Farmiga contacted us. She was developing Higher Ground, which is a movie she directed. Which was a great story. And she lives in the Hudson Valley. And so we decided to come on board and finance and produce with her this movie. And that was the first movie we did. And then we did Peace, Love and Misunderstanding a couple of months later. And that's really how it's just from that it unfolded very quickly.
Now, we were just talking inside. You are in a very unique situation and in a unique space where you entered it with financing. With basically, we have this pot of money where we're going to put it into films.
There are a lot.
Again, I'll edit whatever you want in or out there. Basically, there are a lot of people who are asking, what are the most viable sources of financing? And for a lot of people, the first outlet they have to pursue are friends, families, and tools. Is that kind of the outlet you went through, or was it in terms of collecting personal money and personal vanilla finance, or?
We opened a seal fund based off New York, and we raised the money in that fund the same way all film funds function, by raising money. You reach people you know, and they reach people they know. And then people are referred to you, and you try to see if they could work with whatever philosophy there is in the fund that you are building. And that's how we started.
Gosh.
My brother has a very strong finance background, and so it was critical to develop this.
So it sounds like your brother kind of put together the financial package and all the figures.
It's him and his wife, for the most part, who really focused on that.
And then you were able to focus on story and developing with the creative. Yeah.
They were also very involved in that creative process, but I'm mainly focused on the creative side, and they are very focused on the legal and financial and all the organizational and the logistics, as well as the creative aspects.
No. Wow, that's amazing that you're able to come in with that team, and then you were able to really hit the ground running.
I think we were fairly fortunate, and that's probably how it has to work. You have to get lucky at some point to find the great people who are interested in working the way we wanted to work, and good projects. The first fund that we did was very festival-driven, so it was material that we felt would work very well with festival, and they did. 4 out of our, I think, 6 first pictures went to Sundance, which is a very good track record. We had a picture in Toronto. So if we picked the material that would interest the festivals.
Gotcha. Was that part of an overall strategy in terms of you went in with a 5-year plan of saying, okay, round 1, festivals, round 2, we do this area, round 3, we do this area, or?
And when you have the kind of business and academic background that we have, you always develop a 5-year plan and you always change it every year. So now we are in our 4th year, and we went through various incarnations of what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it. Meanwhile, we studied more and more about the industry and the market and how things work. No ice for him. Yes. Ice for him, no ice for me. Oh, for Keiki. So we spent a lot of time studying the market, the industry, the festivals, what stories travel well outside the US. As we all know, the independent landscape is such that movies more and more have to travel outside the US if they want to have a success that is not purely a success that is critic-driven, but that's also commercial success. The foreign market is now anywhere between 60 and 80% of the market, depending on how you slice it, how you look at it. And so that's the type of stories we were looking into. Took us time to develop a production team, a development team, a marketing team. And so now, 4 years later, we are in a very different space that we were. We identified, and I think everyone does in this business, that to have a successful movie, whatever success could mean, you need to have a great project, a great cast, a great distribution. And so for us, we spend a lot of time researching scripts. I was telling you outside, we read 1,500 scripts in the past year and a half, and we selected a dozen. And I think that when you are fortunate enough that you can cherry pick 1% of what you read, you're able to select very strong material, very strong stories. And stories that can be exactly where you want them. We wanted a couple dramas, a couple comedies, a couple rom-coms, a couple sci-fi movies, a couple thrillers. And so when you read 200 thrillers, you can pick the 2 you want. When you read 200 comedies, you can pick the 2 you want. And that's how we worked. And that requires a fairly high level of investment in developing it, or having the right people who can lead and access the right material. And then we developed a marketing, advertising team. And so it's about finding the right partner for that. Glenn Garland, who's a great executive in marketing and advertising, joined our team and opened an entire division and hired top-notch advertisers and marketers to work for him and with him. And so they are able to take our scripts that we actually develop, design posters, and show us with the story that we have, the type of visual that we're going to have. And if the posters are not wow, then we know we have a problem with the story. A great story is going to give you a great visual. If your story has problems, conceptual problems, then the visual is going to be not deliverable.
That's really fascinating because a lot of the times I find, the filmmakers that I talk to in Hollywood, and admittedly they're Hollywood filmmakers, so they're a bit jaded, but they're always complaining that, your whole film is determined by the poster. And if you have a bad marketing person who just can't put together a poster, then of course the film won't get out there and get made. Or sometimes that devalues a more complicated story, which is more artistic or what have you. Yeah. But you're saying that a really great story will drive a great poster to begin with if you have the right marketing person.
Yes, but when you are hiring studio executives, you have people who have been designing marketing campaigns for 20 plus years. So, obviously, they have the ability to read a story and develop a very strong marketing campaign for it. But we did this even before we go there and try to find the right director for it. So we're approaching directors with a script that has a poster. And because that has helped us understand the scope of the project, the type of budgets that it needs, and the type of directors that it needs. So it's a very important part of our overall strategy, is being able to have a strong development team, a strong marketing team. Then we have someone in-house who's been working in the foreign market for many years. It helps us really visualize the scope of the projects and what is going to be the type of directors who's going to respond to this type of material. And so then we're approaching the agencies, the management companies, with this visual as well as the script. But we already have a script that is, in our opinion, in the 1% top scripts for that genre, and a visual that is at the level of a studio release visual.
Right. I'm curious, have you ever had instances where the poster started out as one thing, and then as the film was made and evolved and you got on a new director, it changed into a completely different movie and a completely different poster?
Well, this marketing division only started 6 months ago. So I'll tell you this as the directors start cutting their movies or get ready to distribute their movies. Yeah. But I'm sure that the visuals are going to change once cast is attached, once production is underway, but at least we already have that very clear marketing angle on how we want to market the movie.
Now, do you prefer to write with or do you prefer to develop projects with a separate writer and a separate director, or how often do you look at projects where it's from a writer-director?
We have a couple projects, I think, that are writer-director. Most of them are writers, and for the most part, there are even writers who either haven't done anything or only have one or two movies that of their script that have been done, because we are very focused on new voices. We're trying to find writers that have unique concept, a unique voice, a unique style. Only being East Coast based gives us a certain distance from LA, which I think is can be, if you use it well, to our advantage. By being able to be more open than purely LA and being able to look everywhere in the country. I think that's a very interesting. All right. Thank you. Bon appétit. Bon. I think we are very fortunate and we are very grateful to be able to work with writers that we're working with, who are phenomenal writers, and written amazing scripts, great stories, great dialogues, great development. We work with each of them in providing the right level of notes, not too little, not too much. Our marketing team also give notes and look from a marketing point of view. This is going to be easier to communicate than this. This might open to a bigger distribution than this. And so we are really, really happy to have all these people working together.
Yeah. Good ending. All right. I'd love to hear about the space that you've developed, because you have a 35-acre studio, very much. And did you convert an old facility, or did you just have fun? Oh, it's an old studio from the 1960s.
No. We bought a large farm, upstate New York, at 35 acres, and a 40,000 square feet horse barn, and we transformed this horse barn in a small studio with editing rooms, a sound stage, and music studio, offices, anything you need to make and edit and post. And
So because you're based in New York, you must have to travel between LA and Europe as well.
I am in LA 1 week per month, and then the other 3 weeks are between New York, Europe, and festivals and movie sets. That's how my time is divided, and my brother and his wife do more or less the same.
Or what?
Do more or less the same. They also divide their time like this.
That must be very difficult for you, because you're traveling constantly, and is that difficult for you, or do you will it?
No, when I was in my previous life as a biochemist, I was traveling at least twice as much, because I was managing 500 people in 12 different countries, going from one location to another one, visiting a lot of companies. So I'm traveling a lot less than I used to.
What do you find are the best ways to adjust to traveling?
To all the pearls.
Sleep little. If you sleep little, you adjust very well to traveling.
Well, so many things I want to ask you, because you're running your own studio and you're growing at a very rapid pace. And as you said, the next kind of phase is moving into more mainstream, larger productions.
What specifically initiated that move? Was there a particular project that worked you at it?
When you are running an operation, as we are running it, which has a good amount of employees, you need to balance between projects that are more festival material and projects that are more commercial based. So we spent a lot of time finding this balance between some more festival driven projects and some projects that were more mainstream, commercial, yet at the same time with a very strong content, very strong stories, great character developments. And it's not simple to find very commercial projects that are also material driven.
Material driven as in pre-existing intellectual property?
That in material driven in the sense that have all the strong stories, strong character, strong art, and yet fairly elevated.
As you're expanding, are you staying with kind of
innovative writers and various scripts, or are you looking at expanding into intellectual properties that are pre-existing, such as soap operas or comic books or things like that?
Up until now, we've been really focused on original material. We probably will venture a little bit in the space of the existing IP material, but I think we'll always have a very strong emphasis on original material.
Just say it's very inspiring to hear that you're focusing on original material in that sense. Because most studios, you don't know me, they developed a poster, but it has to be based on a comic book or some other, like Hansel and Gretel first, based on very.
But studios have certain metrics. They have certain level of overhead. They have a certain brand that they need to maintain, and they have a lot of locked frames. They have to operate in a certain space, which has some great advantages and some challenges. Independent companies have a lot of challenges, but they have the great advantage of having a lot more freedom. And if you have a good enough business sense, you can develop business models around the stories you want to tell.
Got it. You posed something very interesting, which is as a growing studio, do you fear the potential that you might become bigger and bigger, and then as a result, you hate to move it more in that direction and you become too big to fail? And so you have to kind of you have to go more and more to that well of studio materials.
I try not to operate under fears, so I don't fear this. I know this is a valid concern. I know that in many businesses, including in these businesses, companies have failed because they grew too fast, too much, and lost their identity and lost their strengths. I have no fear that something like this can happen to us, because we're coming from a very different business where we have seen these over and over. In the chemical business, it's a very common mistake. In the biotech business as well. So I don't think this is something that we have to be afraid of. I think that the company is definitely growing. We have to control the overhead. We have to control our ambitions. We have to always stay reasonable in what we can achieve and how we can achieve it. And so I don't think that this is something that's going to be a problem for us.
And I wanted to also ask you had said you built a business model around a story you want to tell. So what's been kind of the most interesting instance where you had a film you wanted to tell and you had to find the business model to accommodate that?
Historically, meaning looking back at the past couple years of movie we've produced and were distributed, I think the most interesting business model is probably Bachelorette that we did last year, with a story that was a great story, but very edgy, with some very tricky elements in it. But a story that Moon felt was very timely and very important to be told and very modern. Is a great voice of Leslie Headland. And we really knew going in that we were going to need to be very creative on the distribution with it. And so we had to find the right partner for it. And so that came out last year, and it was a huge VOD success. But it had to find its life in the VOD space, and it did. And so it was a great model, but it had to be a bit outside the box thinking to get to it.
Can I ask what kind of outside the box thinking?
It's usually with this type of accuracies, one would go for traditional release in the theaters, and there were people who were offering to release the movie in the theaters, and we decided to go more with the day and date strategy that Radius, the Weinstein company, had presented to us, where we felt that the movie would find more of an audience. And we did, because The Bachelorette was one of the most successful VOD movie ever. Certainly in this community, certainly in the independent space. So you have to be able to see these to go into this type of product.
When approaching cast, what is your process in terms of approaching cast? Do you put together lists based on any particular analytics, or do you just say these are the people we want to do and we keep an eye on it?
So cast is very much script and budget dependent. If you have a great script, it will command a certain cast. If you have a mediocre script, it will be very difficult to attract the same actors to it. And then it totally is budget driven. If you have a $1 million budget, there is a certain level of cast but you cannot approach. If you have a $10 million budget or $20 million budget, it's a totally different strategy. But regardless, it always starts with Latché, let's make a list of, in the best of all possible worlds, who would be right for these spots. And so it starts with making a list of who would be absolutely amazing in these spots. And then depending on your budget, you narrow it down to the people that are realistic for the finances that you have with the director that you have. Okay? A first-time director will always have a very difficult time approaching a certain level of actors because they went down this road multiple times and they've often been disappointed in a first-time director. Not that they are bad, but they maybe don't have the same level of craft and communication that a more experienced director may have. So certain level of cast is going to usually command a certain level of director in terms of how experienced they are. So first-time director is also a very important part of the decision process to the cast that you have to approach. And then it's very much what the budget is. If you have a $1 million movie, your investors are taking a risk that is no more than $1 million. If you're taking a $10 million movie, your investors are taking a risk that could be up to $10 million. And so you have to mitigate the risk with a quality script, quality director, quality actors. And sometimes it's not even about quality actors, it's about actors who are bankable. You have a certain price in the market, whatever that may mean. It's very much project by project that you decide.
I've also heard an old saying, actually, that a film depends on not just the script and the director, but also the supporting actor. And you can take a chance on two of the three, on one of the three, but never two, three, or all three of the three, definitely.
And I'm a strong believer that supporting actors make the movies. great script, a great lead, and a terrible supporting cast is never gonna deliver. Doesn't mean that if you have a bad script and a bad lead, a great cast is gonna deliver. But yeah, you won't have a great movie if you don't have a great cast as well.
When was the instance where you found the most unlikely great find for a supporting actor? Maybe an unknown discovery or someone that you found in a movie.
We've had in, I believe, every single of the movies that we've done, we've had actors who we launched their career.
Wow.
Higher Ground, it was Asa Butterfield. That was her first movie. Peace, Love and Misunderstanding, it was Lizzy Olsen's first movie. The Last Keepers was Zasha Mehmet's first movie. Latché also started with Peace, Love and Misunderstanding. So we've always given a chance to new talent, and honestly, it's not even that we're giving them a chance. These are people who were excellent at what they were doing, who made amazing auditions. And because I strongly am a believer in a casting agent who is going to work with a director, audition people, find a great performance, and then you're not really taking a risk. It's very difficult when the budgets get higher, and you need a certain level of foreign value as well as domestic value attached to the actors. But as often as we can, we've taken these opportunities to show emerging talents.
Okay. With a lot of great casts, also tax incentives come into play, especially with point systems like Canada. If you have certain points on Canadian actors and Europe as well for those incentives, how often have those incentives played a role in helping or thing?
All the movies that BCDF has produced as a lead producer have all been American. And 2/3 of them, if not more, have been New York State films that we put together with the help of the New York State Film Commission. A lot of them have been done in the Hudson Valley with the help of the Hudson Valley Film Commission. And on all of these, we've gotten great support from the state and a tax credit, tax incentive program for all of them.
Wow.
Yes,
You're like the most pro-American film producer I've ever met, because all your lead producers are American. Like I said, not most of your films are shot in America. All ascended in the Hudson Valley, thanks to the contractors. Was there an intent or a strategy behind it, or did it just kind of happen now?
We really believe in the company that you have to be sustainable in anything that you do. That sustainability is the only thing that really makes sense in terms of development for the future. And one big part of sustainability is to work where you are. And so we are in the Hudson Valley. Part of our productions will always be in the Hudson Valley. We are in New York State. Part of our productions will always be New York State. This being said, Liberal Arts shot in Ohio because it was taking place in Ohio. And we...
It was Josh Radnor's motto as well, wasn't he?
We agreed with Josh Radnor, the fantastic director of Liberal Arts, that we were going to stay authentic to the script that he had written. I think filmmakers today are in a difficult position that there is less money to make movies, and a lot of independent movies do not perform well. do not travel well. But at the same time, all these new medium, all these new platforms of distributions have opened up amazing opportunities for filmmakers to show their work, to tell their stories. They just need to be realistic at which level they have to make these stories. And if you have a great international story that can travel around the world, it will command a certain budget. If you have a very small, intimate, local story that speaks to you and people who have the same profile as you do, then it will command a very different budget. And so filmmakers have to make the stories according to the budget that they can get for it.
Okay.
But today, you can shoot a movie for $20,000 that is going to have the visual of what would have been much more expensive 10, 15 years ago. And so that's a great opportunity for people to say what they want to say. At the same time, it means that there are more and more movies that are being filmed like this. And so it's very difficult for a movie to shine in that landscape. And most of the movies who will shine will have a certain level of casts that will bring these. That's why we call them stars, because the stars shine on you. And that's really what is driving a lot of the success of the independent cinema, is when a story can attract a certain level of star.
Because in the end, it is a collaborative effort. You know, if you want to do a solo piece of art, you pass, or you write a song. A movie is something that you have to get a team involved in so that a team of people can also enjoy.
A movie is all about working as a team.
Yeah.
It's a very different form of art. Mm-hmm. It's a very different form of business than most other businesses, and it's really a unique art. But coming from a family of artists in dance and music and opera, I've been able to see a lot of these forms of art, and movies are really today what delivers to the masses of this country and around the world. It's an unbelievably powerful art. You just have to remember that it needs to have a form, a content. It needs to elevate people above their condition. And I hope that we see more and more of these movies that transcend our country, transcend our region, that show around the world great ideas, great visuals, great stories.
And that's all, folks. Many thanks to my guest, Claude Dal Farra, for a terrific interview. Check him out at bcdfpictures.com. You can also find out more about BCDF's films by visiting the links for this episode on our website. Our music this week is Rhythm Gitan by Latché. We're starting to grow our Producers Lounge community, so if you'd like to submit either jazz music or banner photos for an episode, post a link on our Facebook page. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/theproducerslounge. Remember, you show your support for films by not downloading them. You show your support on Hulu by clicking on the commercials. And you show your support for podcasts by liking and commenting. And you can always check out our website, www.theproducersloungepodcast.com. Thank you again. I'm your host, Richard Tucci. Join us next week for more cocktails and questions. And until then, keep producing dreams.